Let's go up and take a look at the vacuum pump.
Oh, sure.
That's pretty cool. Oh, I'll show you our, we have our recreation room up here. Every sugar house needs one of these.
Yeah.
Because when you're waiting for the RO to like rinse and stuff,
This is cool.
you're gonna have something to do, so.
Pool table.
Oh yeah, the pool table. Pool nights Tuesday night, anybody?
That's awesome.
We got a good group. The competition's tough.
I thought what you were going to say was you had a drop line machine up here. So recreation.
Yeah. So I was making drops this year. You make about 100 and shoot a rack of pool balls so you don't go crazy and make another 100. Yeah.
How in the world did you get the Decolate up here?
There's a deck, there's a
Okay.
coming in, so it comes in. So we built the building, which is all built on material off the property. My grandfather planted the red pine that made the decking.
That's awesome.
1948 it was planted.
So you milled it all, huh?
Yep, you know. So this
I
is
got you.
permeate, 20% concentrate. We could, if we needed to, we could put concentrate up here, but we don't really need to, other than the 20% that feeds the evaporator.
This is what's feeding the evaporator.
Yeah, they haven't washed it. So yeah, we built the building, we built the deck, we built this bridge, put the cut saw on it, and then we did the decking, and then building from there up, everything came through here. So we didn't have to carry it upstairs, we could bring it down to space to it. We had to redo the deck. We did it pressure treated, and it rotted after 5 or 6 years. We did it out of locust now. So
Oh, yeah.
I see a
we
lot
pulled
of
a
locust.
pallet of D, and it fell through. It was a pain in the ass to get it out.
You saw a lot of locusts on the way up.
Yeah, we've got locust here.
There's Black Locust Lane or something.
Yeah, Black Locust Road down there. This is our oil. For a while, years ago, I did vegetable oil. And so I had to insulate this to heat the vegetable oil. But it's 2,000 gallon tanks, and something's up in the insulation. So we just rotate the tanks back and forth. Works pretty good. See it?
I hear it.
Yep, pumping
I
on.
hear it.
So we have a town road, so everything has to come under the town road. There's 18,000 caps on this side, and then about 4,200 down below that gets pumped up here. We don't haul any sap. All pumps into the sugar house. So we had to, Alex was a little kid sitting on my lap in the excavator, and we dug the line under the road. And we had to chip some ledge. And, so our releasers are in there. I'll show you those in a second. This was the original vacuum hut. There's 4 200 amp entrances here, which is a good way to do it because you don't get the overage charge. Like some of the guys rinse their RO in the summer because they go above a level. They get hit with a $600. Well, a blind squirrel gets an acorn because once in a while, because we put our vacuum pump in, Efficiency Vermont does. We have a thing in Vermont where we get rebates for efficient equipment, and everyone gets a little bit. It's like a quarter cent per kilowatt on your electric bill that funds it. And so they came in. We had the first screw pump in the maple industry, and they wanted to know how much the rebates were. So they did all the testing here. And the guy was telling us this, and I said, I never got one of those. Oh, I have 4 200 amp entrances, 2 meters, so I never go over. That puts me in the industrial user category or whatever. But anyway, this is the screw pump. So this building's got a 3,000 gallon cement tank my grandfather had built in 1962. There's permeate now. And then that used to have our 2 20-horse liquid rings. It's got our backup 20-horse liquid ring.
So there's a concrete tank?
That guy built it.
It goes underneath?
Yeah, I just redid it.
I gotta see this.
Yeah.
Just a big concrete vault, huh?
Yeah. So we put a building on it because it was a great place to put our
Yeah. Foundation's already here.
Right here.
Oh my gosh. That's awesome.
That light on down there? The light down there?
That's cool.
Anyway,
I would have never guessed it.
so we had 2 of these, 20 horsepower, and here now you're going to get less than a vacuum. So liquid ring, vane pumps, their vacuum curve, they'll tell you, oh, it makes 29 inches. Well, but the peak vacuum, like this one, will make 29 inches, or may only make 28. But at regular 24 inches of vacuum, 400 CFM. At 27, 10. So that's the problem. And as you get higher in vacuum, your leaks essentially get bigger because you're pulling more air through the same size hole. So as your leaks get bigger, your pump gets smaller. So we would get to 26 inches, we'd turn the second 20 horse on, get full 200 amps in here, wipe it all out, and we'd go to 26 and a half. So a screw pump, it's the same vacuum right to the end. Your pump doesn't get smaller. Your leaks may get bigger, but the pump doesn't get smaller. That's a huge difference. So you're still, both of these are doing 20 CFMs at 28 inches, or if even that, you can get to that maybe at 27. And that one's still doing 400. And it's a 15 horsepower screw pump. The other option is screw pump, or these are on a drive. This was one of the first drives that we put this one in. I've had this in here, I don't know, since 2007. These you have to keep at 33 hertz. If you go below that, they won't make the liquid ring and you won't make vacuum. A vane pump has to be pretty high too, or the vanes won't come out, you won't make vacuum. A screw pump you can turn down to 5%. So ours, when it's tight, it'll sit there and barely run. And so that's a 15 horsepower screw pump. We're making 28.5 inches on it. It's idling using about 3 horsepower for 22,200 taps and making huge vacuum. It's that pump is paid for itself. I put it in middle of 216. It's paid. It was, it's a $30,000 pump. It's paid for just the electricity savings.
Jeez.
Not to mention how much more sap we get. Because I think
Well, so if you need an Atlas Copco vacuum pump, you can talk to Fred right here.
They sell Atlas Copco vacuum pumps. Yeah, there you go. Let's go take a look at the screw pump.
That's funny. Thanks, Clayton. He's gonna give it.
I went to a meeting with a Canadian guy who was like, he showed a picture of my vacuum pump and goes, these people get these fancy pumps, you don't want them, they freeze up, if they break down, you're in trouble. You just get a cheap one anybody can fix. And I'm like, no, you get the cheap one for your backup and you get the fancy new one. We don't get free electricity in the United States. I think it's free in Quebec. and then turn your vacuum down at night. Turn your vacuum up at night. That's how you find your leaks, because your gauge turns red. If you turn your vacuum down so it doesn't freeze up, during the day, the next day, you didn't find your leaks and they're all leaking and you're losing sap. It's people are backwards. They make all these things to turn your vacuum down as it gets cold. We go up and get our leaks. So this was an old tank house. This is our original tank house. It's a little tip.
I remember seeing this. I remember when this went in.
Yeah, we slid it in the old tank house, and then the next summer we slid it out and rebuilt the building. So it just came.
SO cable?
For a big pump like that.
It's only 15 horse. This thing doesn't pull all that many amps. So see, we just have it running at 16 because we're just trying to keep the.
You just keep
away
it
from the
vacuum,
trees. Yeah, a little bit. I may turn it on.
I remember when you put this in. I remember
Yeah.
it was a video.
Yep, we did a video, and then
You're famous.
I don't know about that. But I thought it was so funny when the Canadian guy came down. I'm sitting in the audience like, that's my vacuum pump. And he's back. I'm like, you got it backwards. You can buy those liquid rings cheap for your backup.
Well, they should give you them oil vein pumps just so they can sell you the
That's
oil.
a moisture trap, and actually I need to level it. But we've got a backup releaser down there because our main release is across the road. That's the low point. Any condensation goes there. If something completely fails, it'll go there and pump over.
That's
and
smart.
if that fails, it'll finally get to here. We've never never run any liquid in it.
Liquid in it. Okay. That's what I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
Huh.
You could
We-
take that water right off that creek there and wrap it around that pipe, make your little self a little still.
You guys in Ohio, I don't know.
This is awesome.
So this thing's just shutting off. It's just.
Well, that's your power, right? That guy. What is that? Is that your
This?
power? Yeah, what is that?
That's the exhaust.
Okay. Looks like electrical conduit, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
it is. I just used electrical on it with exhaust.
That's cool. And then this is your moisture trap. Does that filter actually have an element in it?
Yeah, no, there's just a ball in there.
I got you.
So last year at one point, we don't know why, but oil pulled back. The check valve in here must have been a little loose. See a little bit in there?
I see the oil, yeah.
Yeah. But this
It
doesn't hurt
happens.
anything. It's on the vacuum side.
Listen, I've showed them all the warts of my place. This place is immaculate compared to mine. Wouldn't you say, Fred?
We try to keep it pretty clean. It took a while to get here. We had to get rid of all the slide gates and put these in. We got rid of that one. Yeah, we got to do it. They were all leaking out the handles and stuff. We have higher vacuum this year because we don't have any slide gates leaking. So we hacked them all out. There's a couple of.
This has its own built-in VFD.
Yeah.
Yeah, this built-in.
You can't buy these without.
This is there's a transformer that boots the single phase up to 480. So it comes in, boots it to 480, and that's your on-off. And this is something people don't know about variable frequency drives. I couldn't find a plug big enough voltage to unplug this. But that's important. I have a lot of friends that get lightning strikes in the summer, and they come in and their vacuum pumps or anything that's
happened to us.
They blow up. And so what it is the electricity comes through the ground. So even if you get the breaker off, and then protecting that drive, it'll come right up through the ground. So I just twist the wires.
Yeah.
Usually put the cover on there so I'm bothered yet.
You turn the power off first.
Yeah. During the power's off. I completely disconnect this thing. I don't want to lose my drive in there. That would be.
Clayton was right. This is definitely worth coming and making a video on. I've been educated today, Fred.
Yep.
So this is a loop saddle. Show them a loop saddle right here. So you can
What's a loop saddle?
This is a loop saddle. This one isn't quite right, but you want to find a really small leak. You shut the valve off. This one's really. And I'm waiting to see the liquid build up in that saddle right there.
Okay.
If there's any air, one drop of air that you won't see on a monitor, you won't see it, you won't hear it, you can see one drop. This one's not running very good. I got a
Loop saddle. You're building up pressure is what you're doing.
You're building up liquid, and then it'll come up over here, and the air will come first. See that? Solid
Yep.
sap. No leak on that at all.
You're doing a good job, Alex.
So like this one.
Attaboy.
You need a raise, buddy.
Come right here, you can see. That looks like some ice in there. Right?
A little ice in that one.
Yeah, there's some ice in that. It's behind the pipe. Yeah, that's just ice.
This is awesome.
It's probably running through just a little bit.
Fred, we have the greatest job in the world.
Oh, yeah. You betcha.
So we set this up years ago. First on the S stickers in there. It's 25 degrees. Look in there. That's 25 degrees. That's what happens when you run this tubing on the south sides.
The sun does that.
Yeah, that's like 4,000 taps. Coming down the dry line, everything's pretty frozen up. It'll probably unload a bit.
I'll bet it just pours in the other.
I'll bet like 2 o'clock.
You probably, shoot, these VFDs probably heat it. You got to so
These are old too. These things have been here for, I don't know. So what we have here is we can put all the sap into one, all into the other. We can put it in this one, it'll overflow into this one. This one has 2 3-horse pumps, that's 1 3.
Well, what's this mean?
Well, that was something we did when we had Maple Rama here in 2016. Clayton did that.
So this is a redundant system.
Yeah, it's redundant.
Gets over.
And I did it years ago.
It's cool to do it now.
It works really good. Like we had a huge run the other day, so we had just one line over here that pump would keep up, and we got it balanced. So these two kept most. We had like 2/3 going in there, and then 1/3 going in there, and it all worked and balanced.
So the submersible pump was something that you guys did.
Yeah, I don't know.
Pretty early.
We did it early a long time ago. I just kept putting bigger pumps in. It's really good running. So that pump just turned on.
You guys gonna have to boil.
Not yet. It'll be a couple days.
Cool.
So the other day it was coming in here, all 3 pumps were running. It was coming in, and that's 100 gallons a minute.
Yeah.
So it's a fire hose.
Well, I thought I patented the food grade Fernco on these things. You guys are way ahead of me.
Yeah, we've been doing Ferncos forever. And this was something that Clayton and I came up with, the Uniseals.
Yeah, that's what it said right here.
An old guy, yeah.
What is a Uniseal?
An old guy told me about them. So you had to,
Grease it up.
it goes in PVC and they do not leak. So you try to thread, anytime we threaded in here, we always had leaks, especially
So
the biggest
Uniseals.
size. You just stick it in there, you gotta have it hot. It only does a 1/2 inch, so that's why we had to bevel down in there. And you stick them in, and you get them hot, and put a little grease, and you stick it in, and they don't leak. And
So threads leak always,
and
right?
they give, like threads, if something happens, it rips it out. The Uniseal, the pipe will move.
Where do you get them?
You can get them online all over the place. I found this place I used to deal with, Portland Plastic Pipe up in Portland. The old guy took me through. You might like these, and he gave me 2 of them, and they sat here for 4 years. And I finally stuck one in, and I'm like, these things are great. And I told a couple of people, and then but the problem was we didn't do this, so it was too thick, and they have a little rib, so once they protrude through the backside, the rib holds them in.
Gotcha.
And they were pulling out, and we were like, well, we just got to router down, and so we made a special router.
Are there threads right there?
There's no threads.
So it won't work
just
good on threads.
You get rid of your threads. Drill a bigger hole.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
That's what we did. There was some of these we took them out. So here's that was probably threaded. We
Look
had
at that sap run.
it was hard to keep it concealed.
Look at
It's starting to unload a little bit.
It's 25 degrees, folks.
Yeah. That's when you run your tubing right.
This is what happens at 25 degrees if you run your tubing right.
Yep, the sun hits it, it runs. If you had tubing on the back side, going on the north side, 3/4 of that sap wouldn't be getting here. It'd just be backing up, contaminating your taps.
So how much syrup do you make per tap again?
We've been going up and up and up as we're redoing.
As you
our
keep
tubing.
figuring things
Yeah,
out.
we're doing better and better.
16,000 gallons on 22,000 taps.
Alex and I have done a ton of. This was fun.
With 2 guys, right? 2 guys?
Yep.
Jeez.
Last year we redid this summer, and the worst pipeline in the whole system was this stuff coming in, and so Al built these things. We forgot to tie the cement block into the wedge, and it started to lift. So we threw the boulders on.
Oh, your weight.
We didn't have a place to do that. We had 2 angles in the front, but we didn't have a place to pull it back to. We didn't think that was going to be right. We put the boulders on and did that. But there's dry lines, wet lines, power lines. I have a cabin up there. There's internet up there. There one is an internet line.
So you run a fiber optic?
Yeah. No, actually, I ran RG11 coax with boosters on either end. It's called I forget what they call it, EDPH or something. Well, Mocha does for 300 feet. This is like Mocha, but for longer distances.
Gotcha.
And I get 30 megabytes per second.
That's
up in
awesome.
my cabin. So I can go up there in the summer and hang out.
I got to look at your counterbalance here.
I've got a mini split up there.
There's
Not very many.
that's what's holding that concrete down, so the wires just don't pick that concrete right up off the ground. That's
Like you can see how we bury under them. We go up, we bury under places. They just stay on the road. There's nothing to eat. It's pretty clean. I would have seen a moose or a bear. Oh yeah, we have them both. Fortunately, our bear don't seem to be hungry. Everyone else is eating everything.
I heard that a moose does not have a reverse.
Yeah, probably not. I would stay away from them. Yeah. Anyway, so we have loop saddles here. We have them all over the woods, and it's great, especially by a brook. Because by a brook, you're trying to hear, you can't hear. And if you're old, you can't hear. When you're, yeah, you got it. So loop saddles are
Fred
like,
can't hear, taste, smell, see.
the thing about a loop saddle, it'll tell you that there's no leak. But if it's frozen halfway up and the leak's above the freeze, you won't know. That's when the monitor will tell you the end's open, and then you go to the bottom when it's running, and you can find out. And you can find a drop of air with one of those. That's amazing.
Wow, a loop
And what
saddle.
we do is in the summer or like the fall vacuum check, when we want to shut lines off, we just kink them and tape them, and then we just open them up during the season when we want to use the loops. And it's tricky. You have to have your uphill side saddle, or we use spin seal now. It needs to be close to the valve. If it's farther up, the sap has to build up, and it can take a while.
I
It's
got
not
you.
running.
So you're saying put this closer
Yeah,
to the
put it as
valve.
Close. Yeah, here we probably should have put it at the post.
I got you.
This isn't a very good.
This one doesn't really matter how far away it is.
Yeah. And you want to have a nice big loop, so
Okay.
the lower one goes anywhere. Yeah.
This has a ton of value for people.
Oh yeah.
This is also very humbling.
So when you tap like a hill like that from there, you tap unit.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So we'll try to top. We just tap.
Do you use these on every one of your
Yeah, we use.
entrance?
So the
You
trick
can
with
see the angle.
the ropes.
never
The
do
trick with ropes is you can come at any angle. With a clip, everyone like
I got
trying to
you.
come in perpendicular, so you're killing your grade. It just limits you. So the ropes, you have to get the right kind. It's 5/16 hollow braid But I found a company that has 8 strand. Most of it comes 13 or 16 strand, which is too hard to thread it through. And it takes a little bit extra time. This one I'm not.
But you're not going to have those weird, if you come in at an angle, and then it starts pulling everything down your main line.
That's stainless twist ties.
Okay.
So there's 2 of them, so it keeps it from sliding.
I got you.
So we carry the twist ties with us when we're running tubing. So when we started doing south end tubing and doing the ropes right, we went from doing 15 rolls of tubing by myself. It takes Al and I all day to do 15.
I got you.
But I'll tell you what,
the
take
yield.
a little more time. People go, that's too much time. I don't have the time. Yeah, you're losing half your sap.
Can you just tighten your line up?
Oh yeah, you can tighten it.
Yeah.
You can loosen it.
Gotcha.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's
And
great.
something falls on it.
You get the right.
Get off.
It was hard to get the right rope. They kept changing manufacturers. I finally found a company. It's cheap. So then the other thing
I see you burn it a little bit on the end, right? So it doesn't fray.
we melt it with it. We have a rope melter. So we take the coil of rope and we wrap it around. It's 2-foot ropes. We have 2 big lag screws on a board. We wrap a whole bunch around, and then we take our melter and melt it, and then you get a whole bunch of 2.
So you make a bunch of head.
Oh yeah, we make them.
You're not running out in the woods with a roll of
No.
rope.
We take a whole. We have a belt pack, and have it look a little hole in it, like the zipper, full of belt ropes. And then when I need one, I just tie it on. Alex will be up.
You ever seen that before, Fred?
We put the spinner. We put a tubing spinner on here. Alex will run up, run around, clip. Goes okay. I cut. I have the rope already tied. I slide it through the rope, pull it tight, and you'll have a whole bunch hanging out. And when we do the spin seal, which we do now, or saddles, we take it, we cut the excess, and if it's long enough, we make drops out of it. And if it's not, we throw it away. And you end up not throwing away very much.
So how much is tuition here?
Yeah.
I find that so amazing that you don't replace drops, and yet your production just stays right up.
We're gonna see. Our production's been high, but we've been going through redoing everything. But we can tell these woods are just cranking, and they're 6 years old now. And my friend, he's like, hey, I had 5-year-old drops. I made 11 pounds per tap. Stubbies of 5-year-old drops. I mean, it's not the drop line. It tells me, I'm more convinced than ever, that this whole drop line thing was a lack of keeping your tubing on the south side, and it backs up. And that's the whole idea of the drop. The tubing, it can't back through the whole drop, a clean drop. So you already have contamination too close to the tapple. But I don't think the contamination, check valves wouldn't work if contamination could go, if it's running and it's running away, I don't think it grows against the layer, the stream flow.
Right.
I know a guy that all of his main lines, everything's coming off one side. So
Yeah.
you take the 4-wheeler. Is yours that way?
Well, yeah, some of them. It depends how. We tried it. We'd rather run them, in. But here we've got them both. This goes under the road and then splits and gets all those little trees up there. When I was a kid, we were putting buckets on these.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome.
40 years ago. 50 years ago.
So you have all sugars?
No, a lot of reds.
Water reds? And you're still making that much syrup?
Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah, if you look at the tap tree size we have, it's hard to do what we're doing. I said, yeah, we'd make a gallon per tap if we had all 10-inch and above trees.
This is awesome, guys.
Yeah.
I just trusted. I had a plan in my head, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to be flexible.
Yeah, we have
And-
fun going to Clayton's too. He's amazing. He cracks me up. He comes up with stuff. I'm like, where do you figure that stuff? How do you do all that? I don't know how he does it.
Well, it's just, somebody said to me once, they go, well, you just got lucky. And I'm like, yep. Yep. I was in the right place, yep. Why deny it? So you guys just happen to meet each other, and look what's come out of it.
So we added a tank on here a couple of years ago. We had a small one, like a 4,000, and we just put it out. We said, we'll make the buildings bigger, and then we were like, what the heck? We just might as well just put another big tank. But we'd already poured the concrete, and it was too narrow for a LaPierre tank. So, but the CDL tank fit in there, so that's why that one's a CDL. That's actually 6,600 gallons. These ones are 6,960, 6,600. So that's our eight.
So this is all the storage you have.
Yeah, this is it. With those 4 tanks up there, our lower pump station 4200. It comes out of the releaser and pumps into a 1500 gallon tank.
In case you get a big surge or something.
The story with that down there is back in 1984, I set that up, and my neighbor, my mentor, he knew all about plumbing and stuff. He said, well, I said, let's pump it up. He says, yeah, we can put it on a float ball and pump it up automatically. You don't have to go get it. So we set this thing up. It cost $600. We put a deep well pump, just sit it in the bottom. And oh, you can't do that. Yeah, you can, you know. And so it worked. And the old timers, oh, you should have just got a truck and put a tank in it and hauled it up. Why all that money to pump it up 800 feet? It's 800 feet away, 100 foot of vertical. Same pump, same float ball. 40 years later.
Still working.
Pumping up. 15 gallons a minute. It just keeps up. The other day it gained on it. When we started the 1,500 gallon tank early, chipped the ball early, and it gained on it. But it didn't even get half full. It pumped for 8 hours.
I imagine you have said more than one. You should have told me it wouldn't work before I did it.
Well, my neighbor said,
Don't tell me it can't be done when I've already done it.
he spec'd it out. It's going to do 1.25 line, this much friction, elevation, length, 15 gallons a minute with that pump.
Well, there's a lot of opinions and a lot of ideas. I think you probably ruined about half of my viewers' thoughts on things.
Like a little bit of icy stuff.
This is awesome. There is ice in your sap tank.
Yeah,
So this is the pipe right here that's just running every now and then when it fills up.
that one's the one that's pumping. So this one is the backup releaser in case everything fails. This is the lower tank house 4200. And this is the one that we've got everything going into a releaser right now. So these two are just pumping. There's no fittings in here. And the reason is if we ever get an ice chunk,
It'll hit the fitting.
slide through, because that'll be a problem. And we did have to, it used to trickle through here. We learned we put some check valves after the outlet so that, here it comes.
Oh, wow.
Yep, so we put little check valves in. So after it pumps, check valve, it can't pump out when it's pumping, but it'll suck in and it drains the line quicker because the drain, at least would go really slow with no air behind it, and it would, at night it would freeze up.
I
So
got
we've
you.
never had it freeze up since we put those check valves in. The pumps pump pretty good when it's over 20 inches of vacuum. When it gets to 28,
It doesn't push that hard.
28
Gotta work
and a half.
hard.
We could have gone higher than 28 and a half, but I'm not sure our pump would have kept up the other day. All three of them were coming in here. This was pumping in. We filled this tank in 3 hours. For 2
Are you
hours.
serious?
It was half full. 30 minutes later, it was full. I was like, we gotta turn the RO on.
This is
We
awesome.
do, when we want to wash a tank, we just have these.
Okay.
And we just have a little fern cone. We keep a drill here. And we just stuff them on. That way, we don't want to put valves. We want to make sure
Because that'll restrict flow.
Yeah. Well, if there was ever an ice up, it can slide out because it's not going to run unless it's above freezing.
So you'll just put that on to move it over to this tank.
Because sometimes we want to clean this tank,
Yes,
so
I
we'll
got
fill
you.
this.
I got
This
you.
one will overflow into here. We need to make an overflow on that one.
I see it. What are them fittings called that you stuck in the uniseal? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, uniseals.
Can you do an overflow with uniseals or not really?
I
It's
don't
too
know.
thin a
We did
material.
bulkhead here.
I got you.
These tanks came in wrong. They got all in here, and I looked and said, "You guys screwed up. The overflows were on the wrong side, so we had to cut in new
I
ones."
got you.
Which is okay because it worked for this. Well, you pumping again? Rip it. It just pumped. Oh, you gotta look stop.
It's awesome. What did Jeff Bezos say? Is only when he looks to hire people, he looks for people that have strong beliefs that are weakly held. And there's a lot of farmers that have strong beliefs that are strongly held. So when something that is counter to what you believe is happening, you're going to make up all sorts of excuses and lie to yourself as to why it's not working. We all do it, actually. This must be his shop.
Then we built the shop the next year.
Oh, this is nice and warm.
Sure, that's the-
You can work in your shorts in here. Do you have to upgrade the power steering pump to be able to turn?
The guy did that before us. We bought it from a neighbor. Who was
So the stock ones are just not quite enough to turn them,
I don't
right?
think this one.
This one didn't have anything.
Oh, it was just
It still doesn't turn.
The Can-Ams work fine.
Can-Ams work
Stock
really
cars,
good.
yeah.
Yeah, they're
like they designed them for getting tracks.
it's got power assist that was added on aftermarket, so we don't. It doesn't work great, but it's there for a backup. So this heats both buildings, and there's an apartment on the back of the sugar house,
Okay.
so it heats everything. That bucket of water needs to be drained. It's flooded out.
Well, you split it pretty long.
Yeah, this takes 4-foot wood.
How hard you got to swing that axe?
Yeah, I got a wood splitter I bought in 1983.
Oh yeah.
Yep. And I'm still using it, 4-way wedge. That thing is, guy built a monster machine.
I'd say, what are those? 36 inch, 40 inch?
It splits up to 50 inches.
Are you serious?
Oh yeah.
You can do
So
telephone
we
poles.
cut it 42. We like to cut 42, 3.5 foot. Put it in cribs. Pretty quick. You fill a crib in 10 minutes.
Seriously?
Oh yeah.
You get off that? Do you get that off your property?
Yeah, we have rotational grapples, log loaders. We have an excavator with a grapple. This has a grapple.
So this
So
has
we're
a
always
grapple.
thinning. That's one of the things I do is I thin. That's kind of people gotten away from that. Oh, we're going to have diversity. Don't, they're out there wild. To me, if you can't grow your trees sooner or later, a lot of people got into this business in the last 10, 15 years. They're going to go, oh no, I got to replace my tubing and I got no place left to drill. We've been drilling here for 60 years. We can still find places, but you got to keep your trees growing. I think trying to do wild trees is you got to, first of all, you got to be real conservative with your tapping because you're going to run out of holes. You should see what happens after 20 years. It gets tough. You got to go under the lateral. People are afraid to go into the lateral. They're all staying up. You got to drain that.
Okay, so you said putting the tubing on the south side or east side.
Yeah.
But do you tap on the north side?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So
We
you'll
tap on both
all the way
sides.
around.
Yep. Wherever is a good hole, we come up. I come up to a tree, I'm already looking at it. If I see a good spot, no old holes, above, below, to the side, go. If I see a tree that it's kind of peppered there, then I go around and look at the other side. And I have friends that do a W thing every year. They find last year's hole, and they always know each year they're going like that.
Mm-hmm.
And they figure when they come around, they'll go again. I don't know. I think you gotta
doesn't
be.
work so well
I
with
think it's better just to come up to the tree,
When what?
find a good
People
spot.
tap.
Oh, I know. Do you guys tap every hole?
Nah.
Do you have some help?
This year
with
we
tapping?
tapped probably more than any other year.
Yeah,
But
we started early. We didn't need a lot of help. When we're our best tappers, we have another guy that's part time. He's got a farm. He comes in about 11, 12, and he tapped. So Alex and I, from 8,500 on, we had help at 8,500. But from there on, it was
How many
just the
of you
three of
did
us.
the first 85? How many?
We did that in 2.5 days.
How many?
7 people.
7.
Yeah, I mean, Alex, I know, did at least 1,000 of those because you did
How early did you start?
December 6th. So what I looked for was last year we went right after Christmas. There was a week of cold, and I said, look, it's going to be warm for like a week. Let's get a bunch in. So we did that, and it worked pretty good. So I said, this year, let's look for 3 or 4 cold days where we can get a group in. And if we don't have a lot of days, you want to get enough on the first run to make it worth your while. Yeah. So that's why you need a big crew for that first, unless you know you got 2 weeks. So we knew we had 3 days. So I pulled some guys that had their own woods, and I said, you want to tap for a day? I'll pay you guys $30 an hour. Sure. I would love to, Another friend of mine worked for me. He hasn't tapped. He said, I'll come over. So everyone we had was experienced, good tappers, had their own systems, or have tapped a lot. So we put together this crew, and it was no snow. There was no repairs. It was just go. And it was dry. The trees were dry. It was like scary dry. I was like, oh, there's nothing in there. So they started warming up. The second day we did the third day we did half a day. It was a Thursday? Friday? It was a Friday. Then it warmed up, and by Sunday the sap was ripping. I'm like, oh, there is sap in the trees. It was gushing. And so then it stayed warm for about a week. Then it got cold, and it was just after that first 8,500, we did all the rest. Alex and I did the lion's share. He probably
So
did more
you
than I
started
did.
tapping in December, but when
Yeah.
did you start actually working in the woods, getting ready for that?
Last April.
October?
All year long.
All year long?
Yeah, we people go, what are you doing?
you say
this summer?"
April?
I
We
said
get
last
ready for
April.
next year because we're replacing. We did 3,500 this year. We did all the thinning. We did some installation for some other people. We do excavating. We did some this, that. We did some logging. You know, we constantly busy. And we try to get some time in the summer too. Alex, didn't you go to Greece? Was this year you went to Greece for a couple weeks?
Just hanging out in Greece.
Yep.
His lady friend's Greek. She's got connections over there, and she speaks the language. So.
Yeah.
So here's a good story. You guys will like this. So got the wood furnace out there. So Clayton came that first November, and we hooked it up. We're building the sugar house, and I'm running that, and it's got the tall smokestack. We'll go outside. Go out here.
Sure.
Smokestack. So we're running it. And we probably didn't have the best wood in the world that year. It wasn't as dry as normal. Well, it's got a screen on that out here. Open it again.
I think I know where this is going.
So, yeah, there's a screen up there, and the screen was clogged. I mean, clogged full. So Clayton was working in the sugar house with some other guys, and I go, I'm gonna have to get a lift to get up there. There's no way up there. I mean, we put the thing up, but you can't get it down. This is bad. It was really clogged. And Clayton just kind of thought, yeah, just shoot it. He was joking, right? So I thought about it. Well, my father had died that year, and I knew he had a 16 gauge shotgun. So I go up to the house. You know, Mom, Dad got a shot. Yeah, and it's just shells, a bird shot, perfect. I come out here, boom, all the stuff flies off. 5 guys come running out of that building like bees out of a beehive. So our motto here is that's the true redneck is someone who cleans his chimney with a shotgun.
I love it.
And we have to shoot it once a month. Al gets it. So I go, who wants to shoot the chimney? And no. So we had a kid from down country, down southern New England. He missed. First shot he ever had. He never shot a gun. He missed.
Well, you can see the little dents all over this.
Oh, yeah.
I was thinking it might,
Flies off.
that little cap on top might not keep the water out anymore.
That was so funny the first time. I see those guys running out. He actually did it. I said, look, Clayton, it works. It's going.
And
I know it's
Clayton
gonna
was
live.
probably fooling with you. And
Oh, yeah, he was just fooling around. And then I did it. I was like, yeah, he's right, man.
Did you guys hear a shotgun? Oh, neighbor's just cleaning the chimney again.
Oh, yeah. The lady's walking down the road. Somebody's shooting. Oh, it's just us. What are you doing? Cleaning the chimney.
Oh, man. Well, I'm almost out of battery. This is perfect. Thank you.
Over to Clayton's.
Yeah. Hey, thanks, Alex. Thank you.
Yeah,
man.
yeah, it was fun.
This was awesome.